Hey guys, this is Huge John. All right, so I don't normally post too many clips from my Twitch channel over to YouTube because I feel the instructional value is often mixed. There's a lot of crosstalk with the chat going on. It can be kind of distracting. But yesterday, I streamed a Rapid Arena on Lichess, and I played a 10 plus O game in this Rapid Arena against about a 2350 rated player that I think you guys will find especially interesting and instructive. Now, the backstory to this is that over the years, I've got a lot of requests for videos where I intentionally try to put myself in a tough position or I intentionally blunder and try to fight my way back. And I've always felt a little uncomfortable doing that because it just seems artificial to me, especially if it's some sort of odd scenario where, I don't know, I'm starting out without a queen against a lower rated player or something. I know that's popular content and can maybe be instructional in its own right. But fear not, in this video against this strong player, I am playing at full capacity and I just blunder pretty much right out of the gate. So within the first 10 moves. And I subsequently have to try to fight back from this bad, if not completely lost position. And this is such a common scenario in chess and an important skill that I think this gives us a great chance to think about it. So as this game goes along, consider the factors that might allow me to fight back from a position like this. And in general, how you want to fight back from a position where you know you're worse, you're down material, it's just tough for you. So what are those factors? Consider that. Also, if you want to try to predict the blunder before it occurs, I highly encourage you to do so. Again, it pretty much happens right out of the gate. So that's my preamble. Enjoy, as always, and let me know if you have any questions or comments, guys. Gorakuda, okay. See what happens. Are these 2,700 untitled players all GMs in disguise? Or are they generally just random people who are the level of title players? I think a lot of them are title players, for sure. But I think there are a fair amount of people who play tournaments, but are untitled or have a rating that has not caught up to their strength yet. Okay, I got to be a little careful here. This can lead to issues if you're not careful. I'm going to go here, invite knight e5, and then play rook c8. Oh, I'm losing an exchange. I've done this before. I've made this mistake before. Okay, which bishop do I want? Probably the dark square bishop. Bishop d3. Why? Okay, I guess they're saying that they're going to invite me to do this. Then rook b1 or something. Okay, let's go here. Jerry just covered this in a video. Nice. Yeah, bishop b5. I've ran into issues against this. I think I actually blundered in the same way against Eric Rosen one time. I think I might have played e6, knight e5, rook c8, which is similar. So maybe in this position in the future, I should just play a6, which is a good move. Okay, now let's try to open this position a little bit. This is still not over. I mean, down in exchange, but some potential compensation, I'd say. Okay. Okay. Here, g4. Maybe that's not so bad, though. That might be all right. Let's play like that, because I want to try to create some question mark for this king. Some little hesitancy. If I weaken my king slightly, I'm okay with that. I need to create some problems for white. At least you have two bishops. You spoke too soon. All right, knight e4 or knight f3. So if take, knight takes. Do I have any trickery there? I don't think so. Queen e3, knight e4 at the end. That might be the best I can do. I'm going to go for that. Obviously, we don't want to trade. White playing very confidently. But f3, I have this move. Not totally over. It's pretty bad. I mean, f3 here, maybe rook f1. I don't know, but I can possibly take if it's this rook. I've had worse positions before, I'll tell you that. There's also rook b8. I mean, I can play around with this idea. But this is forcing enough where if white plays it, I probably have to go for queen g3 for this lateral pin. Okay, white could take this to an endgame, right? f3, queen g3, and then like rook d to g1. Take. I might have some chances in that endgame, though. We'll see. I do have a nice compact position around my king. Going to be hard to pressure white on the clock currently because they do have good time management going on. Yeah, best case scenario would be if this knight survives, I win f3 and queens remain on board. That would be great. Even if I lose this pawn or something, that would probably be a pretty decent outcome. But I don't think white's going to allow that. I think white's going to play like this or, yeah, move like that. This doesn't... Does it threaten something? Hard to say. Could go knight g5 here. Knight g5, queen takes a7. Okay. Could play a5 maybe if I want to save the a pawn. I think I'm going to try knight g5. Just got to create some problems for white, even if it leads to a sketchy position, as we already are in a sketchy position. Because I feel like if I leave the knight there, even though white is not threatening to take, they can start playing improving moves like king b1, get out of anything here. At some point, they will move the queen, maybe just with queen takes a7. So I'd rather like front run that. Okay, they take. Yeah, and here I was thinking of a couple different things. Queen f4 and then taking on f3 either way. Those are my three candidate moves from here. I don't know
Hey, John,
what order is
guys.
best. Thank you, Raider Johnson, for the 12 months. This one I would say is obvious, but it might put me in a pin again for one thing. Well, there's d4 at that point. I actually think this might be a better move, strangely enough. Feels losing, though. But what isn't at this point? If I play knight takes f3, I am threatening queen f4, queen, and then knight d2. But I think queen e3 is going to be the answer. Okay, but d4. d4, rook takes f3, maybe. d4. Queen e2, queen f4, king d1. Still staying afloat for white. I don't know. Don't want to spend too much time here, but this seems critical. Also, what about this idea? Check, king b1, knight e4. Nah, probably too fancy. Just king a1 there. Knight takes f3. So I'm trying not to put myself in a pin, but it's very difficult. It's difficult to avoid that. I'm going to play rook takes f3. I don't feel great about this move, but I'm not seeing a better move, so I'm going to go for it. I think everything's losing, but this will require some accuracy from white. I'm threatening this now. I'd expect rook d1 here. And then I can see if I want to play something like knight takes and then go after the rook, or, okay, they check. Yeah, we got to tuck here. Queen h2, okay. So they're trying to protect everything. Feels a little passive, but I gotcha. All right, let's centralize, obviously. Mm-hmm. Maybe I can try to attack somehow here. I'm pretty well centralized. Try to do something like this. Yeah, I think I got to use my pawns to try to create some issues. I'm just down to pure exchange here. It's equal pawns. I mean, pawn structure is better for white even because they've got this A pawn. So I can't even ever like trade queens. So I need to create as many problems with the queen and the knight as I can, and these pawns.
Hey, John, this is Guys.
Thank you, 926 Andy, for the 29 months. Says hello from South Dakota. Greetings. Rook g1. Why? Why would you play that? I don't understand. Here, maybe? That would threaten knight d2, knight f3. But probably rook d1 will be the answer then. Rook d1, knight f2, though? Okay, let's try. I don't get this move at all. I guess they're trying to cover g3 or something. Or just didn't want the rook under attack and didn't like e1. Yeah, so this is a threat now, followed by this. Funny thing is, even in that situation, if I win the rook on g1, but my knight has to come here after a queen trade, the a-pawn is still pretty dangerous. So I have to make sure I get my knight back in time. King can't catch the a-pawn for me. Okay, this is like these last couple moves. Ooh, white's allowing this. All right, check here, here. What am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything. Okay, they can play queen g3, though. Yeah, queen g3. I mean, granted, that's much better than before. I don't know. That's a tough ending for me, though. I might not even want to go for this, guys. I'm going to play c4. I know this seems wild to pass up this option, but I actually don't know. How they go there? Okay, so here? Or check first, maybe. Let's check first. Now check. King there. They have queen g1 at the end. Tricky business. All right, I'll play c3 first. There. Kind of a wild position. So check king here. Queen b6, b3. So they're banking on b3 being a saving option. Okay, what if I go here, though? Centralize the queen. Threaten this. And this. Knight's really putting in work, folks. Controlling matter. I mean, this is ostensibly pretty passive for white. I don't have much time, though. Yeah, they're playing pretty reckless, aren't they? Like, I would not be converting this in the way that they are. I think this is a nice move. It also controls g1. Just a lot of options here. Keep the queen and the knight centralized. I could see white bailing and taking here or something. But then, I mean, I might be better at that point, this queen ending. There's rook e1. Okay, just as I say that, they play it. But take? I mean, there's pretty big threats coming up here. Knight d2 in particular, I'd say. I also had this and this, but it might be better to keep that in reserve. Can they play c3? Take here? Looks wild, but maybe. No, I don't think that'll work for them. I think they're going to lose if they do that. My king being safe is super nice. No issues with my king at all. Just tucked a little way in his summer cottage. Queen there. Wow. Okay, I see the point. I see the point. Allowing all sorts of double checks, discoveries. Here? No. Focus, John. I can do this and then promote, but I don't want that situation. I want something better. Might be a good move that they just played. This is obviously critical. I'm trying to work through the ramifications of that. I'm not seeing it. Knight d2 first. Dang, tricky. Must decide. Okay, I'm going to go here. I don't know. Have to allow this to happen. I wasn't sure otherwise. Let's take here. Now I feel like I'm better, but with 33 seconds, I don't know if I can prove it. Let's push the pawn. Wait a second. Check. White's blowing it. They just blew it. Wow. Gimme. Whew. They threw that hard at the end. Queen b8, I think, was a good move. What should I do here? Knight d2 followed by queen c4. Yeah, but what does that do? They take on b2. Check here. Queen c4, take b2. Queen f2 is the best move. Wow. I don't know that I thought about queen f2. That's a tough move away from this side of the board. A non-check move. Wow, that's subtle. Queen f2, rook h1, queen f3, some repositioning of the queen. It does gain a tempo. I guess this is some sort of better version of this. Yeah, because the pawn's already primed to advance with the queen help. That's a really tough move. I don't think I'm going to find that move under this type of circumstance. Maybe with more time I could find that. What about this position? Rook e1. C takes b2 is correct. That felt like the right move to keep all the tension and the pressure. Wow, look at this right here. Knight d2 in this position. I didn't think about that.
Hey, John, this is Guys.
Dang. Because if take. Thank you, mates like Hovis. But then you have to see king a1, knight f1. What is this position? I'm threatening the queen. Most importantly, I'm threatening mate. White's busted. That's disgusting. But that's the queen and knight combination. Yeah. King b1's a big mistake here. Check. So king c1 would be best, and knight f1 still. Then white has to find this. Look at this ridiculous position. Somehow this is holding for white. Somehow they're still better after this. Put the queen on g1 and the rook on h1. This might have to go on YouTube. This was a fascinating game. Blundering early and trying to come back. Yeah, so I need to figure out what to do in this position. Bishop g4. I mean, bishop f5 is fine, but what should I do here? a6 or queen b6? a6 challenge the bishop right away. Yeah, I don't know. In hindsight, maybe a6 is what I should do in the future right here, because it just rules out bishop b5. I often play a6 in these positions anyways. It has some drawbacks. If you remember that Ding versus Nepo game, where the pawn on a6 and the pawn on b7, Nepo on the black side of a London, did have issues in that structure, but it does prevent bishop b5. I think this is one of the more dangerous move orders for white. I played h6, so, for example, on e6, knight e5, not to have to worry about g4 as much. You can always drop the bishop back here. Yeah, this is just a bishop skewer situation you got to watch out for. I've done this myself on the white side of Exchange Slavs. That took a lot of scrambling ability or luck involved. Doesn't like bishop h5, by the way. Wants me to come back here or even here. I was thinking at least we both have messed up structures here. Okay, really doesn't like this move. Wants me to take. Take and knight e4. Interesting. It's kind of what I was going for in the game. Something similar to that. Did white miss some sort of win here? This is all correct for white. f3. This is my only resource. I mentioned rook b8, but I figured rook b8 they could always take and probably escape the checks. There's also c3, apparently. This was tough. I mean, I was just trying to find the way that complicates the game. It does say this is better. What did I not like about this? I didn't like queen e3 here. d4, queen e2. Check. And then king d1. Not king d2. Or king b1, rather, because it allows knight d2 check. I didn't like king d1. I saw this position in my head. Wasn't sure what to play from here. Yeah, this is +4. Looks awkward for white. They have a bunch of their pieces on the back rank, but seems my evaluation was correct there. Yeah, and here, just trying to use the queen and the knight together with the safe king. I didn't like queen b8 for white. Often in these situations, you don't want to give the obvious check, because that pushes me in the direction I want to go anyways with my king. Right? Like, I want to play king h7 and tuck it away. White spent time on this maneuver, and yes, they did firm everything up here, but I can't help but think that that's inaccurate. The computer doesn't hate it, though. It's actually the second line. But yeah, I think something like rook e1, give black this, and maybe focus on pushing here. That looks more challenging. because I'm so far away from being able to make use of my kingside pawns, which is going to inherently weaken my king if I even get in the situation to use those pawns, that I would have had to try to do something in the center, I think. Maybe knight e4 again. But maybe then you come back with the queen and kind of stabilize everything. So I liked seeing this because I thought I had some chances now. But wow, knight d2. That's an amazing idea. And then knight f1. I mean, I probably should have looked at knight d2 just for the simple fact that they can't take with the queen. Or if they take with the queen, then, at least we're in some complicated endgame here. Still, this a-pawn is dangerous in many situations. But to back knight d2 up with knight f1 is really impressive, because I could easily see white playing king a1 really quickly and then realize the major problems they're facing here. They can't defend mate and their queen. That's beautiful. So I played c5. That's the second best move here, just trying to get the pawns going in hopes of trying to crack that king. Yeah, rook g1. I was really criticizing this move in the game. Apparently c4 is best here. And on this, they should go rook d1. I think I was thinking on rook d1 to go knight f2, but maybe that's nothing. Rook f1, rook c1. Yeah, probably not. So I should have kept motoring here. Tremendously complicated. And rook g2, I think, was asking for punishment. Game is roughly equal here, according to the engine. Dead equal. c3, b3, knight f2, cut the coordination, queen and rook. Wow, because I have an initiative with these pawns coming up. I would say this is still tricky for white to defend. It's scary looking. Wants them to do something like this. Allow check. We can get into a rook queen endgame. Wow. But white spent a little bit too much time like kind of clustered with their queen and their rook over here. And that gave me serious play against their king. Like, now I'm knocking on the door. Like, hey, anyone home here? In fact, I know you're home, white king. Now, queen check, king a2, knight d2. Supported by the pawn as a threat, threatening queen b1 mate. Centralized, was happy about this move. Yeah, now I'm threatening to take. Also this. Rook e1 only move, apparently. Take, and then queen b8. And this was the key position where I spent, a minute and a half on this move. Because I couldn't find a clear blow. I was looking at this, forcing take, and then I have various double checks. Apparently, there's draws to be had here. Even this is kind of hard to calculate in the moment. I'm going to assume if they try to run, I chase them this way. I mean, yeah, this is a lot to handle. Knight e4, threatening mate. Knight d2, some of you were mentioning this post-game. Yeah, I can go for this. This probably looks kind of like the game, huh? I'll throw in this first. Take. Queen f1 and then go take here. I don't like this as much because I don't have the passed d pawn. Don't like it as much as the game. Yeah, because this looks obvious, but there's king takes b2. Apparently, I can still draw here with queen d4, but that's not an apparent continuation. What about this move? Knight c4 wins if he goes to c1, threatening this and this. Wow, there's so many possibilities with just these two pieces, queen and knight. That's why queen and knight are a classic combination. They complement each other perfectly. They don't reproduce any movements. You have the combined power of a rook, bishop, and knight. So I ended up playing this move, and apparently this is the best reply. Defending diagonally towards the rook, and then I'd have to do something like this. Okay, bishop is funny. Yeah, sure, let's say get a bishop. Rook takes. Knight takes. Yeah, king or queen takes. I don't know. I think I would have lost this. under the circumstances with the time, even though the engine's saying equal because of just the time difference and the fact that this is not a pass pawn. And on sight, I would take white here with the A pawn. But white played this, and that gave me this E pawn. I was really surprised by this sequence. Yeah, and once you lock in this, queen f1, e2, the position plays itself. King's perfectly safe. If white had a h pawn or something, maybe they could try to create some issues, but nothing towards my king. And then they resigned before I could take their queen. Okay, I kind of want to dedicate more time to analyzing that, but I'm going to spare you guys. Maybe I'll look at that off stream or something. Fascinating one. I think I'm going to put this on YouTube because I feel like that was an instructive game from a scrambling standpoint and calculation standpoint. Probably white should have slowed down at some point in the conversion process. Again, some of these moves, queen b8, queen h2, even though the computer says they're still fine, I don't like this method of play. White doesn't look coordinated to me. I think refraining from checking, sort of banking on the fact that I will almost certainly have to spend a move securing my king at some point, and probably trying to centralize, coordinate a little more towards the center versus the side of the board would have helped them. And then once they do that, like then think about pushing the A pawn. But yeah, I feel white spent a little too much time trying to rework their rook and queen from an awkward situation, and that gave me chances despite the time situation. Fascinating game.